In part 1 of the Beginner Excel series, we looked at how you can import data from CSV files, navigate to cells and named ranges, search for data within your Excel workbook, insert and remove hyperlinks, and modify your page setup in Excel. In part 2, let's take this a step further. We look at how to do things such as adjust the row height and column width, customize your header and footer, freeze worksheet rows and columns, display all of the formulas in your workbook, and inspect your workbook for issues. Let's get started. A common problem that you might encounter when you open an Excel workbook is that you cannot read the value in the cells because the row height or column width is too small. To prevent this problem, you'll want to adjust your row heights and column widths so that the values inside the cells fit correctly within the cell boundaries. Excel gives you a bunch of options to adjust the row height and column width of cells. The first option is Autofit Column Width. With the column selected, go to Home, Format, Autofit Column Width. This option autofits the width of the column to that of the cell value in the column having the maximum width. If you want to specify your own width for a column, then you can do that too. Go to Home, Format, Column Width and specify a value. This might take a few adjustments to get right, however, so let's look at an easier method. On the top, above the first row, you will see vertical lines separating the column names. You can click and drag this line to dynamically adjust the width of your column. An even easier method to autofit the width of a column is to double-click the vertical line to the right of the column that you want to autofit. This method autofits the width of the column to that of the cell value in that column having the maximum width. You might think, all this is cool, but wouldn't it be easier if I could do this to more than one column at a time? You're right, you can apply this approach to multiple columns. Just select all of the columns that you want to autofit or specify the width of by holding down the Ctrl key and selecting them, and then adjust or double-click the line between any two of the columns in your selection. These methods apply to row heights as well. To adjust the row height, drag the line under the row number or go to Home, Format, Row Height and specify a value. To autofit the row height, go to Home, Format, Autofit Row Height. Alternatively, just double-click the horizontal line under the corresponding row number. Just as with columns, you can apply this approach to multiple rows. Just select all the rows that you want to autofit or specify the height of by holding down the Ctrl key and then adjust or double-click the line between any two of the rows in your selection. I can't believe how many people struggle with this problem in Excel. When you scroll down in Excel, you'll find that the headers scroll along with it, and you no longer know which columns you're looking at. Likewise, you scroll to the right and you find that you lose sight of the data in the first few columns of your rows. You'll want to keep the first row or the first few columns fixed so that as you scroll to see all of your data, the headers remain in place and you can see which data you're looking at. Excel gives you three options to manage this. The first option allows you to freeze the top row. On the View menu, click on Freeze Panes, Freeze Top Row. You'll see that now when you scroll down to see all of your data, the top header row remains visible at all times. When you look at a value now, you immediately know which column header it refers to. To undo your action, go to View, Freeze Panes, Unfreeze Panes. There's a similar option to freeze the first column in your Excel worksheet. On the View menu, click on Freeze Panes, Freeze First Column. You'll see that Now, when you scroll to the right to see all of your data, the leftmost column remains visible at all times. When you look at a value now, you immediately know which row it refers to. To undo your action, go to View, Freeze Panes, Unfreeze Panes. You might wonder, what if you want to freeze or retain more than one row or column as you scroll through your data? Well, that's possible as well. Just click the cell that's to the right of the columns you want to keep and to the bottom of the rows that you want to keep. In this case, suppose you want to keep the first two columns and the first row. Then click the cell that's at the intersection of the third column and the second row. Now go to the View menu, click on Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. Now when you scroll down or to the right, the top header row and the first two columns are always visible. Let's try this with a different row and column. Suppose you want to retain two rows and two columns this time. Just click the cell to the right and below that column and row. So you'll click the cell that's at the intersection of row 3 and column 3. Then go to the View menu, click on Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. Now, when you scroll down or to the right, the top two header rows and the first two columns are always visible. If you're using Excel to create and print things such as an invoice for your business, then you will want to add a custom header or footer that contains information about your company. Excel allows you to specify a custom header and footer that appears when your workbook is printed. This option is hidden under the Page Layout menu under the Page Setup section. You will need to click the small arrow icon to the right of the Page Setup section. This opens up the complete Page Setup window. Here, under the Header/Footer tab, you'll see the option to specify a header or footer for your Excel workbook. The drop-down menus under Header and Footer allow you to choose from some standard headers or footers. You can even create your own custom header or footer by clicking the Custom Header or Custom Footer buttons. The text boxes at the bottom allow you to specify the text that must appear in the left third, center, or right third of your header or footer. Above these text boxes, you will see a few additional options. Hover over any of them to see more information. For instance, you can insert page numbers, today's date, the name or path of the file, a picture such as your company logo, and so on. If you have entered text in the text boxes, then you can select that text and click the Format Text button from the options above it to specify different formatting options such as the font or font size, or even the font style. To insert a picture such as your company logo, you can click the Insert Picture button and provide a picture. You can provide the height and width of the picture. When you click OK and return to the main Page Setup window, you'll see some additional options. For instance, you can select the different odd and even pages checkbox and specify different headers and footers for your odd and even pages. Choose different first page to provide a different header and footer for only the first page. Oftentimes, you'll have a bunch of formulas in your Excel workbook or worksheet. For information or debugging purposes, you might want to see which cells have formulas in them. Excel allows you to see the cells containing formulas. Go to the Formulas menu and choose Show Formulas. Excel displays the cells containing formulas with the formulas instead of the values. There's also a shortcut for this. Click the Ctrl plus the grave accent key on your keyboard. This key usually appears next to the key containing the number 1. Here's a tip. It's always a good idea to color code your cells containing formulas differently from cells containing values that must be input by the user. Using the Show Formulas option allows you to see all the cells containing formulas at one go. You can then apply custom color coding to these cells. Sometimes you might want to inspect your Excel workbook for things such as hidden data or personal information. Excel allows you to do this. On the File menu, click on Info and then click the down arrow icon under Check for Issues. Click on Inspect Document. On the Document Inspector window, select the items that you want Excel to check your workbook for, and then click Inspect. If Excel finds issues with any of the items, you'll see an exclamation mark next to those items. You can click Remove All to remove things such as personal information. For other items, you may need to go back to your workbook to remove those issues and click the Re-Inspect option. Thank you for watching part 2 of this beginner series on Microsoft Excel. If you liked this video, give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more such videos.